What I've always said is it makes more sense for Iraq to have a managed float, which is effectively a fixed exchange rate. 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, whatever they decide to do, it makes it easier the higher that exchange rate is to defend. Having a 0.3 years budget keeps it stable. Pricing stays stable. Anybody that says it's going to float from a relatively low range to a high range over time, they don't understand. Article quote. The exchange rate will be fixed, especially since it's been fixed in the federal budget law for 3 years, says Saleh. This is coming from the advisor. Don't talk about float. It just doesn't make sense to anybody. The dollar is slowly going down in value inside of Iraq. The Iraqi citizens are removing the dollar from their lives, whether it be usage in commercial transactions, business, at the markets. By doing that, they're using their currency the way they were told to do. That action is causing the dollar to lose ground and the Iraqi dinar to gain ground. Exchanges should not be taxed, but be prepared. Mark Z. That's the way I look at it. Memo from the U.S. State Department. Directly about Iraq. The last sentence says, there are no taxes or subsidies on purchases or sales of foreign exchange. CBI Governor. International welcome to the Iraqi banking sector's commitment to compliance rules. Quote, for the first time, Iraq is witnessing the reorganization of the external transfer process through correspondent banks, instead of the central bank or the federal bank being the executive interface for this process. We all know things don't happen fast in Iraq. Iraq has a lot of work to do in order to succeed. The first of which is pass over 100 stalled laws through Parliament to encourage investment in Iraq. And at the same time, the Central Bank of Iraq has to continue reforms to the banking system, digitalization, and apply monetary tools to meet compliance. That's what's slowing down all this process. It's people still using the dollar in Iraq. Even me, I use the dollar in Iraq. When I was there last week, I use a dollar in Iraq. Why? Because it's a lot easier. It's smaller. You don't carry a lot. You carry $500, $600, $700 with you, $1,000 max. If I didn't have the dollar and if the dinar for me to carry, it would be a lot in my pockets. Pretty quiet from Iraq so far today. One of my sources believe the local elections had some effect on our timing and are finishing the ballot counting before they release rates. If he's accurate, the counting should be finished in the next day or so, possibly as early as today. I have one source in Iraq who believes they will release the rate in Iraq as soon as they finish seating these new electees. Possibly in a day or so, or as early as today. Remember, the goal is to become a cashless society. Just because they're doing away with the US dollar has nothing to do with them changing the Iraqi exchange rate. I did say EMO towards the end of the first quarter. The beginning of the second quarter, you might see a bump in the Iraqi dinar exchange rate only because of supply and demand. If they do away with using the US dollar and they start using Iraqi dinar more in country, that's going to strengthen the Iraqi dinar. Plus, there's going to be a much larger demand for the Iraqi dinar because the dollar won't be around anymore for them to use.